DonInLondon, hello. March 3rd. Goodness me, this is the first quarter of the year. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addictive substance, alcohol, and I guess my behaviour also addictive around people, places and things over the years. And for several years now, practising sobriety just one day at a time. It's never the years which count, it's the day we live in which seems to be the answer and the key to living well. We can't live in the past, and if we're too far in the future, all we are doing is setting ourselves up for resentments. So often I've found. Anyway, what keeps me sober? The Fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't speak for it, never can, never will. AA is full of unique, authentic people who speak for themselves where they will. And tonight I'm just back from a meeting in Portobello, which is near Notting Hill, or part of Notting Hill. And it was a newcomers meeting, and the person doing the chair hopefully won't mind me saying they will be 31 years sober in 12 days time. But the message was very clear and very simple. How it was and how it is today. And how it was quite awful. And how it is today, sober again for one day, it's pretty darn good, even though we still have knocks, bangs and dings along the way. So plenty of good sharing from people who were very new or coming back from a slip, and me too. I got to speak and say how it was for me, that very last drink, how awful it was, and how odd it is I can still remember it so well. It wasn't the worst drunk in my life, it was just the one last one I needed to convince me that if I kept on doing it I'd be dead. And if I could be dead, then, well, why not try and live? Because it couldn't get any worse, I felt. It did. But then we learn that in sobriety too. We have our ups and downs at the extremes. And then we find somewhere in the middle where we normally reside, day by day. So what is AA? I share the AA preamble to give an idea and flavour of what it can do for us, and what it can't do for us, and what it doesn't do. So, Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So March is all about step 3 for me in the 12-step action program. And although we have a 12-step action program, it works in a unique and authentic way for each person, because each person has a unique and authentic way of living their lives. But we have one thing we have in common, a similarity to be sober today. So what is step 3? Well, it says here, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. And from my video yesterday, the God of our understanding is a personal understanding, and whether we believe in God or not, whether we're atheist, agnostic or believer. And I suggest that we can be all three at different parts of our lives. And then we come to some conclusion, maybe on the last day we're on the planet. And then we find out, one way or another, into nothingness or something. So what about step 3? Well, I covered it yesterday, but in this little red book here, which I got hold of last year, I was quite interested what it had to say. So a little bit about step 3 from the little red book of AA, but I don't know if it's even an AA book. What matters is what keeps us sober one day at a time. So, as was mentioned tonight, whether we go to a meeting because we like the girls, or we like the boys, or we like the messages we're getting, or we like the tea or the coffee, or the fact that there is a 12-step program of action which makes us able to live our unique, authentic lives. Whatever gets us there and keeps us there on a daily basis, sharing hope. That's all it is. Experience, strength and hope of how to live well. And that doesn't mean it's always happy. So anyway, step 3 from the little red book. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him, or simply a power greater than us. So for me it's truth, love and wisdom. Truth, not my opinion, love, the foundation of everything, and wisdom, the experience of life. the lives of others, and what we find out for ourselves. Step 3 identifies the spiritual illness of alcoholism and suggests a simple, effective remedy. Success with this or other steps is not a matter of chance, but of right thought and motive, practiced daily. So it's simply daily. It's never the years that matter. It's the day in which we live. Knowledge and treatment of our physical and mental health are vitally important to alcoholics, but lasting, contented sobriety is maintained only by surrender of our lives and will to God as we understand Him, or surrender to the truth, love and wisdom of the universe. However it works for you, it's worth a go. And we find it works because it's not about me and my will. It's about the world as it is and how I may be a part of it. Doesn't mean we have to kowtow to anybody. It just means we can be ourselves. And we can say, I don't feel like doing that, if we have good reason. Or we do feel like doing that because we have equally good reasons. The first 3 steps are a composite AA package, conceived of meditation and experience. They are a basic recovery prescription. Taken with proper timing and in correct proportion, they immediately arrest our alcoholic illness. In other words, we find out how not to live with a drink inside us. These steps complement each other, but they fail to work if any of them are omitted. So if we don't agree with step 1, that we are powerless over alcohol and life is unmanageable when we drink, or that we can be restored to sanity by wisdom, truth and love, then if we omit either of those, then the third step is unlikely to work. Steps 1 and 2 are the premise upon which we decide to surrender our alcoholic lives to God, or good conscience. Step 3 calls for this decision. Honesty, faith and prayer spark our success. Honesty, faith and prayer spark our success. So it's a starting point. It's not an ending point. It's faith without works don't work. A complete knowledge of the physical, mental and spiritual injury we have suffered at the hands of John Barleycorn, better known as alcohol, is indispensable to the honest, far-reaching decision we wish to take or to make. Deliberation born of necessity and a desperate need for help will inspire us to seek our understanding of God, whether it's based on our religion or no religion or simply good conscience. And I do emphasize all of them work because it's not us. It's a power greater than us. It's the wisdom of the universe, or it's the wisdom of the community in which we live. It's being able to open ourselves up to the world and let it in and make sense of it, rather than trying to make the world we want the way we want it to be. It's getting rid of self-obsession and ego and settling down into faith, courage and confidence. Our great need is loss of self-centeredness and alcoholic obsession. AA pioneers discovered their answers to these problems as they developed spiritual understanding and relied upon God's help for recovery. Each of us has the same possibilities if we are honest, humble and willing enough to work them out. Step 3 offers no compromise for reservation or delay. It calls for a decision, here and now. How we surrender our alcoholic personality defects to God, that is for me fear, putting on a brave face and living on brittle ego and fueling it with alcohol, is of no immediate concern. It's saying, yeah, I've got that problem, and then what do I do about it? So it's into action. The important point is our willingness to try. Faith in practice of the 12 steps opens the way to understanding of God and provides us ways of giving our lives to Him. And I for one find that very acceptable in the sense of nature and providence and being a part of community, family, society, however it is, we stop battling against it and find a way to live in it and make the best of the freedoms we have, wherever we are. When we have made this crucial decision, our attitude changes rapidly from negative to wholesome, constructive thinking. We lose our uncertainty and fear. Strife and rebellion disappear. And of course, stubborn, defiant and rebellious was what made me feel right about myself for a long time, because I just didn't like what I saw. That is the way society was, and I wasn't in control of it. Somehow we seem to gain a vague understanding of God's will for us. This understanding may be small, but it is all we need to start with. It comes slowly at first. In other words, why not try and see how I might fit in some interesting way, find myself, be unique, authentic, and deal with this similar imposition which alcohol caused and its addiction. Members who have accepted and practiced step 3 know the value of turning the defects of their alcoholic lives over to the care of God as they understand Him. Faith in His help and willingness to try AA spiritual practices will convert our weaknesses to great spiritual strength and understanding. Contented sobriety, the central purpose in our lives, is not earned without self-sacrifice and God's help. And what time is it now? I've just gone over 11 minutes and I've got the other videos to add on. So I'm going to leave it there, but what it says there, faith in His help and willingness to try AA spiritual practices will convert our weaknesses, that's fear, brave-facing ego, to great spiritual strength and understanding. And for me, spiritual strength and understanding comes from courage, confidence, and faith in next right actions. So whatever we call God in our lives, and for me, God, the Word, always bothered me somewhat, and it doesn't anymore, because God is truth, the absolute truth, not my opinion. God is love, learning to love myself and other people, and I needed to learn how to love myself enough to forgive the behaviour. So this is how I understand life. I can love people and still hate their behaviour, as I did, and I can forgive them and I can forgive myself because I know better now. I know how to get out of that malady. But it's not me preaching to anybody else, it's just learning how to live. Be forgiving of behaviour, which can be changed, and still have love for people. So we don't diminish people ever. We still love them, even if we hate their behaviour. And it's how we share our outlook in a way which is practical, not to undermine people or ourselves, but just to be level with the world. So that's me on that one for tonight, and I'll just end with the Serenity Prayer on each and every segment of these videos, because it's important to me. So to God or good conscience or truth, love and wisdom, whatever it comes out as your unique, authentic understanding of the higher power, which is knowledge, experience, hope from others mainly, and love. Serenity can be found, even in the hardest of times. So to God of good conscience, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference has been all day long.